Are you struggling with food? You are not alone. There might be some things holding you back, and knowledge is power, so stick around. If you like this content, please support this new channel by liking and subscribing. So if you're clicking on this video, you might be wondering, what is food addiction? I'm struggling with food. Am I a food addict? So let me tell you, food addiction describes a situation where certain foods, usually ultra-processed foods or foods filled with sugar or flour, trigger a powerful craving or compulsive eating pattern. People with food addiction may feel unable to stop eating even when they're not physically hungry, and that leads to them feeling ashamed, distressed, guilty, and feeling like they have no power. They feel completely out of control. So I have some questions that you can pose to yourself. The following questions might give you some clarity. Ask yourself, do I frequently eat more than I intend to? Do I frequently eat past the point of fullness? Have I tried multiple times without success to quit sugar or quit eating a certain food? Do I spend too much time trying to get the food, eat the food, or recover from eating the food? Do I feel nervous or anxious about binging later on in the day? Have I given up or reduced social activities or work activities or recreational activities because of the food or the eating? Do I continue to eat the food despite negative consequences? Have I developed a tolerance? So, for example, maybe I used to only eat 2 snacks and now I eat 10 or 20. If I quit eating the food, do I get withdrawals? And then if I reintroduce the food, does it relieve the withdrawal symptoms? Am I continuing to eat this stuff despite a lot of emotional or interpersonal problems? Do I find myself isolating from my friends or family? Is this interfering with my work life or my school life or my home life? Am I finding that this eating or food challenge is interfering with my roles or duties? Do I put myself in physically hazardous situations? I know that I have been shoveling food down my throat while driving 80 miles an hour recklessly down the freeway. Do I have strong cravings for the food or sugar or strong, overwhelming urges to binge? Is this causing me significant impairment or distress? Do I feel guilt and shame? Do I feel like this is running my life? If you answered yes to any of these questions, food addiction may be a factor in your eating struggles. What I want you to know is it's not your fault. If you struggle with food addiction, it's important to understand that this is not personal failure. It's not a lack of willpower. The modern food industry has engineered foods to be highly palatable and addictive, stimulating the brain's reward centers in ways that natural whole foods do not. Processed foods are designed to hijack our brains. Processed foods that are high in sugar, fat, and salt trigger the release of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction to substances like alcohol or drugs. The food industry profits from this, pushing ultra-processed, hyper-palatable products that make it hard for anyone to maintain control. This is not just a lack of willpower. These foods are scientifically engineered to keep you hooked. Imagine if you have a predisposition to addiction or to binge eating. This applies to all people. It makes it hard for anyone to eat just one. The brain's reward system is wired to seek out pleasure. So these foods light up the same pathways that drugs of abuse do, reinforcing cravings and compulsive eating. And over time, the brain becomes desensitized to these rewards, making you crave more of the food just to feel the same satisfaction. And this vicious cycle is what keeps people trapped in food addiction. There's an important distinction between treating food addiction versus something like binge eating disorder. For food addiction, abstinence from the trigger foods, often sugar and flour and ultra-processed carbohydrates, is often necessary, much like abstaining from drugs or alcohol in recovery from substance use disorder or alcohol use disorder. For eating disorders, treatment may focus more on balanced eating, intuitive eating, and moderation. And this is a crucial distinction. For me, for example, adopting an abstinence-based diet was a really important piece of the puzzle that helped set me free after a lifetime of binge eating and working with professionals, therapists, registered dietitians, who really insisted that I eat all foods in moderation, and that just kept me trapped in the cycle. And it was when I adopted an abstinence-based framework that it really, really helped me. If you've tried moderation time and time again without success, you might consider eliminating ultra-processed foods and seeing what that does for you. I'm going to share some basic tips for food addiction recovery. Number 1, ditch sugar and processed foods. We want the brain firing on all cylinders. And the first step in overcoming food addiction is eliminating the trigger foods. It could be sugar, refined carbohydrates like flour, other processed foods that really hijack your brain and keep you trapped in a cycle of cravings and overeating. Number 2, be careful with trigger foods, and that's just your own personal trigger foods, unique to you, because everyone might have things that are unique to them. So for some people, it could be cheese. Some people, it could be nuts. So just be mindful of the foods that lead you into your compulsive eating patterns. Number 3, eat protein. Protein is crucial for stabilizing blood sugar levels and keeping you full longer. For me, I never get sick of steak. I always love ground beef. I love eggs and lamb and chicken, sardines and salmon. For me, it is always just so satisfying and super nourishing. Number 4, eat healthy fat. These provide satiety and can help balance mood and energy levels. Do not be afraid to incorporate fats into your diet, as they are an essential part of recovery. Number 5, get sleep. Lack of sleep can really increase your cravings and reduce your ability to resist temptation. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night to support your recovery. This is really important. Number 6, get specialized support. Recovery from food addiction is not something you need to do alone. There's support groups. You could get a recovery coach. You could talk to a therapist who understands food addiction. Getting support from a coach or from others who get it can really make a big difference. Food addiction can be very serious, but it also can be managed. And by understanding the science behind it and implementing strategies like abstaining from trigger foods, eating a nutrient-dense diet, and getting support, you can take control of your health and well-being. Recovery is possible, and it will feel so much better, and you are worth it. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. This channel is new, and it really means a lot. Thank you so much, and see you next time.